What is up, guys? My name is Pocketcraft, and welcome back to the Minecraft Pocket Edition Survival Guide. So in today's episode, we're going to be draining an ocean monument. If you don't know what an ocean monument is, you should probably check out my last episode after you watch this video, where we rated an ocean monument and talked about what it is and how to find it and all that good stuff. But the main things you're going to need to bring with you are some potions of water breathing and night vision, like you did last time. I have those in my shulker box here. The sponges that you picked up from last time, and then any type of block. I would recommend something like netherrack because it's really easy to mine up really quickly, and so you can do things fast. Sorry, I had a horse like inside me there. That was weird. But what I'm going to do right now is go through the nether portal here and go and pop out right by the ocean monument. I got to make sure I'm wearing my gold because I don't have it fully enclosed here. There's going to be lots of piglins. But I'm going to go to the ocean monument, and I'll bring you guys back when I get there. All right, so we're back here at the ocean monument. And one thing I forgot to mention that you'll probably want to bring are some doors and then maybe some trapdoors as well, just as something that you can be able to build like partitions in is going to be important. And I'll explain that a little bit more when we actually get there. But let's take the potions that we need right now. So we'll go night vision, and then we'll go water breathing. And then let's head on down there, and I'll show you guys how this works. All right, so I would recommend that you actually come in from the top here. And if you watched my last episode, you'll know that we actually already cleared out the top. Let me grab that block here to fill this in so we don't have this water flowing down into here. But we did clear out the top already. And the reason I would suggest you start with the top is for a couple reasons, actually. The biggest one being, though, the most important, is just that it'll be a lot easier to go this way, right? Because if you start at the bottom, every time you go to a new floor, it's going to be pushing water down to where you already cleared out. But if you start from the top, like this, then you can go down slowly and you shouldn't have really much issues. But let's go back into kind of the basics of how to clear out and dry out an ocean monument. If you didn't watch my last video, sponges, what they do is they will they'll dry out an area 7 blocks by 7 blocks. And so the most important thing to kind of make this work is to actually make sure that you have an area that is small enough that you can handle. Now, this is one that you could actually maybe even put into 2 areas. I won't go and make this into 2 areas yet. We'll probably just put some doors right here to separate these 2 areas, but other than that, we'll keep it as 1. And so that way, this right here is the area we're working with, which will take quite a few sponges, so we'll take those out right now. And as we said, they clear out 7 blocks by 7 blocks. So if you put 2 right there, that'll get this area pretty good. Now, the rest is kind of just stuff that's flowing over from this area. So we'll come in here, and let's start on this corner. We'll put like 1 over there. We'll put maybe 1 right there. And boom. Just with 4 sponges, we cleared out this entire area. So now this area is already completely clear, and you can just walk around, don't have to worry about the water. And so the next thing that you would do is you'll want to go over to this area where you put the doors, open it up, close the door, and then we just do the same thing over here. And first things first, you're going to want to check to make sure it doesn't go anywhere else. Perfect. And you just go 1 sponge right there. And then put maybe a sponge like right there. And I think middle and a small area like this is pretty good instead of the top. 1 sponge right there. This one may take an extra sponge. We'll put one right there. And then maybe 1 right there. And that should get it all. Yep. It looks like there is a little bit over here that I missed. And these are situations where honestly, that's another reason for netherrack. It can be broken easily, and you can just put like a block of netherrack right there, 1 right there, 1 right there, and you just cleared out the whole thing. So that's awesome. So I'm going to go through and get some of these smaller rooms that are up here. Then I'm going to bring you guys back for the bigger rooms because those require a little bit more thinking to go with. So this is one of the bigger rooms here. This is actually where we got the big blocks of gold that were in the middle here. And so with a bigger one like this, I mean, the process is still fairly similar, but you can do a couple things to make it a little bit easier if you want. Some people will break off the rooms into portions, right? So not even just putting doors like I have to break out the other ones, but what you could do is grab some netherrack or a block like that, and you could just like divide the room in half or into quarters. And some people will go about doing that because with how many water sources in here, it could be a bit of an issue just for the fact that if one water source flows into another one, or like flow together, it can make more water sources, and so you could end up using the actual sponge, but it doesn't actually clear anything because it just renews the water sources because there's so much water. So sometimes breaking rooms apart like this would work pretty well. And there are actually some people, so technically you don't even need a sponge. I would recommend bringing sponges. I think it makes it a lot easier. But there are some people who have actually gone through and they've cleared entire ocean monuments, just filling the area with like dirt or with netherrack or something like that, where they'll just fill up the whole thing and then just break all the blocks, and then there's no more water there. And so that's definitely something that you can do to make it go a little bit quicker. One thing I would recommend doing that I actually didn't do is bring some furnaces with you into here, along with some fuel sources like coal or blaze rods or something. And the reason I would recommend that you do that is because that way you don't have to keep going back and forth to your nether portal to dry out the sponges. You could just have some of them cooking while you use the other ones, and then you'll never run out, because I'm actually getting pretty close where I'm going to have to go up to the nether portal. I would recommend bringing some furnaces with you, but it's totally up to you. But I'm going to keep clearing this out, and then I'll bring you guys back, and we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, so I've cleared out pretty much the whole thing here. There might be a couple rooms here and there that I've missed, but I've got it mostly done. So I just want to tell you guys a couple more tips that you're going to want to know. First of all, you're definitely going to want to make sure you bring a bunch of torches so you can light this place up. And when you place a torch, make sure it's at least one block above. You don't want it on the floor, because then if you break another block and water comes in, it'll make your torches go all over the place, and you have to place them again, so that'll be obnoxious. This is actually future me coming in here really quickly. I have another tip that I forgot to bring in that you guys definitely want to do is bring some ladders. It is going to make your life so much easier. You won't have to make these weird staircases that I've had to make to get back to other places that I've cleared out. And I forgot to light this place up actually too. But definitely bring some ladders. It's going to make things so much easier. Another thing is probably bring some of these in here with you, some furnaces, so you can dry out your sponges. And now you're probably going to want to bring some more fuel sources. I actually did not bring a whole lot. I barely made it through being able to do that. I should have brought more. But that's one thing you'll definitely want to bring. And I broke my own rule here, so let's not look at that. But another thing, you're probably wondering why you would actually do this, right? Like, why are you going to go through all this effort to clear out this entire space? Like, what's the point of that, right? And so the point of doing this is a couple. One, you could theoretically turn this into a base. I've seen a lot of people who, since they're so big, they've turned them into some actually pretty cool bases or done some other pretty cool things with them. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with them. But two, it makes it really easy to farm out all these blocks here, which is awesome. And so I will probably come back and do that at a later time, because it does take a long time to take these out, and I don't really need prismarine right now. However, if you got the time, I think it'd be a really great idea. Maybe you could bring down a beacon here if you want to make it a little bit quicker, and just mine out all these blocks, and you'll have a ton of prismarine that you can use for a lot of stuff. And you'll see some occasional water drips, and that's because obviously the outside of this is obviously very full of water still. And so that's one important thing to take note of. And one thing just to make your lives a little bit easier is patience. And this is something I struggle with a little bit too. But I think the best way, a strategy to get things closed up a little bit easier, is just do it in really small sections, honestly. Because if you do it in a big section, there's going to be keeping water sources. And if you're just blindly throwing around sponges, you're going to use a lot more than you need to. But if you do a tiny space like this, you can honestly basically just throw down like one sponge. And I should have left a couple of these to show you guys. That's my bad. But you can just do like one sponge and it'll clear out like the whole thing with just one. Whereas if you maybe had these two rooms combined, where each of these rooms could take just like one, it would take a lot more. And so that's something I would definitely recommend doing. But that's probably about it for my tips on how to drain an ocean monument and why you'd want to do that. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch y'all in that next video.